What's happening, guys? Anthony Tackett. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Several videos ago, I recorded a live stream talking about the different types of tools that I use with my 3D printer and with 3D printing. In this video, I want to dive a little bit deeper into that and talk to you about the non-conventional tools that I'm using, like woodworking tools, tools that you might use for auto repair, things like that, that you might find useful in processing your 3D parts. So let's go ahead and get straight to it. The first thing I'll get to is sandpaper, of course. I'm sure almost all of you have this handy. I keep two grits, a finer grit, and then something a little bit more coarse next to my printer at all times for cleaning up parts, knocking down burrs, things like that. So sandpaper is something that a woodworker would absolutely use, and this is something that somebody in 3D printing would find invaluable as well. So there you go. The next couple of tools that I find myself using very often are my chisels. I have two different chisels, a larger one and a smaller one. The smaller one is used to clean up printed parts. It's really nice for getting in tight spots with precision, and the larger one is used mostly for lifting up prints off the edge of the bed. So the way these work, these are FastCap pocket chisels. I talked briefly about them in that last video. The guys at FastCap were kind enough to send this on to me to test and review for you guys, and really just to highlight, because this chisel is unique in that it opens up kind of like a butterfly knife, has an incredibly sharp edge, nice flat profile on the bottom, allows you to get in underneath that printed part and lift it up off the bed with ease. But the thing I like most about these is the fact that they are collapsible and pretty safe. So that's the larger one. And the smaller one I use, the larger one is a 1-inch chisel. The smaller one that I use is a 1/4 inch. And it's very nice, again, for getting into those tight spots on a print, cleaning off burrs and things. You have a lot of control with this type of tool. So a chisel is a very handy thing to have. Again, these are FastCap pocket chisels. I'll have a link in the description for those. The next two tools that I find to be incredibly handy are flush cut pliers or trimmers. These were sent to me by my friends at FastCap as well. Thank you for that, guys. But I wanted to showcase these. I have two sets. I have a larger set of flush cuts. These would often be used for edge banding on plywood. And the nice thing about these is that you can get right up against the part and trim off all of those hairs and blemishes that you don't want. The larger set is really nice for large prints, but the tool that I find myself going after more is this set of micro flush cut. And they're not very big, you can see next to my hand, but man, these things, almost every print that comes off the bed, I am nipping something off of. I haven't had a print yet that was absolutely flawless, and these things are incredibly handy. So these are the flush cut pliers from FastCap. The next two tools came as a surprise to me. The folks over at Timber Hill Knives sent me a few of their Kiradashi models for using as a marking knife with cutting dovetails and things like that. I will be posting a review specifically about these, but I have a few different Kiradashis. So this is a smaller model, and I also have a larger model, and I found myself going after these recently for cleaning up 3D printed parts. And I think the reason I like it so well is that you can get a really nice purchase on the blade. You've got a really nice grip, but that tip comes to a very small fine point. So you can really get in those nooks and crannies of your 3D printed part with a tool like this. And it's nice and rigid, so you don't have to worry about the flex that you might have with a razor blade. But these things have just been absolutely fantastic. And I've found myself going after the smaller one a little bit more for 3D printed parts. But again, this type of knife, or a marking knife in general, you might find to be pretty handy with 3D printing. So that's kind of something different to look out for. You know, maybe the next time you're out at Lowe's or a woodworking shop and you're looking for that next great tool to use with 3D printing, these small marking knives, or specifically this Timber Hill Kiradashi, might be the knife for you. I'll put a link to their stuff in the description as well. The next tool I go after with almost every 3D print has to be my Needlenose pliers. And one thing that you might want to look out for when you're purchasing Needlenose pliers or grabbing Needlenose pliers out of your toolbox for 3D printing is to make sure that you've got a nice kind of narrow nose on the pliers. That just helps you get in underneath the nozzle to pull off that little bit of drooping plastic before print, but also to get up and remove support material from your prints. So a nice set of Needlenose pliers you probably already have laying around your shop, but you can use those with 3D printing as well. Next we have a paint scraper. This was purchased when I was in college. I used to do a lot of painting and had a glass palette that I would scrape paint off of. And this was great for removing oil paint, but it's also really nice for cleaning off a skirt or little bits of plastic, glue, anything that's on that sheet of glass that you might have as a bed. Gives you a nice flat grind to push against that glass and lift up any debris that's on top. You want to be very careful with these. You don't want to scratch that glass. Same thing with the chisel, but I find this tool to be incredibly useful with 3D printing. The last thing I want to call out is a feeler gauge. This came from Harbor Freight, but this has a bunch of different thicknesses of metal here, and I use it for setting the nozzle height off of the bed. But for 3D printing precision, this is really nice. I usually go after the 0.1 millimeter gauge to set my nozzle height and go from there. So this is a nice inexpensive thing to keep around for 3D printing as well. Well, that's really it, guys. If you want to see my full line of 3D printing tools, you can check out that recorded live stream. I felt that there were a few of these tools that are extra unique, and I wanted to showcase those quickly in this video. FastCap and Timberhill are two brands that you typically would not find laying next to a 3D printer. They make tools for survival, for everyday carry. FastCap makes tools for the tradesmen, craftsmen, things like that. But they're very useful, they're very versatile tools, and if you haven't heard of those brands, I encourage you to go check them out. Again, links will be below in the description. I hope you guys find this helpful, and if you like this type of content, these short little highlight videos, give this a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, please go ahead and do that. If this is your first time to my channel, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate the time that you're spending with me. If you're not aware of the 3D printing filament series that I'm in with my buddy Joe Mike Terranella, I'll put a link to that as well. Episode 3 will be on my channel, and that's going to be rolling out in the next few days also. But that's it, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon.